What's up, y'all? Shoebooty Sports coming at you. Usual time and day, Tuesday, as opposed to last Thursday. This is your host, Graham Powell, co-host Bradley Brown. Say what's up, Brad.
Happening.
We are nearing episode 100, by the way. Uh, this is 97, I think. But anyway, yeah, lots to talk about. College football underway, pro football starting Thursday night. Plenty to get to. Uh, Quick shout out to our sponsor, Rhino Races. Rhino Races is a virtual race series that offers 5 different races: a 5K, 10K, half marathon, a marathon, and the Rhino Ultra. Sign up for one or all 5 of their races at rhinoraces.com. Run your race at your convenience. Track it with your fitness app of choice. Screenshot your results as proof of completion. Submit that screenshot to rhinoraces.com under the Submit Results section. Once your results are verified by Rhino Races staff, your award will be shipped to you by mail. Also, check out their gear section for t-shirts, wristbands, decals, and more. rhinoraces.com. Rhino Races is the premier virtual running series, and you can find us, Shoebooty Sports, on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcast. The Wisdom app. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter at Shoebooty Sports. Okay, let's do a quick rundown of the Arkansas game. Arkansas, Western Carolina. Arkansas took care of business. Looked good all the way around. We can get to a grade in a bit if we want to do that, but how'd you feel about what you saw Saturday afternoon from the Hogs there in Little Rock?
Felt pretty good about it. Scored a little bit more points than I thought they would, and they held Western Carolina to less points than what I thought they would. So our passing game looked really strong. Yeah, KJ looked on point. So I like what I see.
KJ looked really good. Okay, got a little freeze up there. But KJ looked really good. Nothing, missed a couple of throws, but other than that, played a lights out game. That's just KJ. He's not going to make every throw. But yeah, solid performance by him. We were definitely off on the Rocket Sanders stats, but you could tell that's what Western Carolina decided to do. They decided to key in on Raheem Sanders, shut him down. That was their game plan defensively. They did a good job of that, but that just opened things up in the passing game. Saw a lot of new wideouts. This Tesla kid from Hollandaise University or wherever it was, I believe it's Hillsborough College. But yeah, new wideout there. Good hands on him. Lot of new faces, names in the receiving corps. All looked good. Yeah, it's Western Carolina, but Arkansas took care of business, dominated the game from start to finish. Looked really good overall. I thought it was a solid performance, offensively and defensively. Defense looked a lot better than what we saw at the end of last season, especially in the secondary. I'm guessing McAdoo is still injured. I think I saw a 24 on the sideline
So yeah,
in street clothes. But what we got out there, I was pleased with. I have no real complaints about the game itself. There were there okay. Before I get to this, quick grade of the Razorbacks overall. What would you give them? A to F.
like a B plus maybe.
B plus. What would you have liked to have seen better then?
Running game.
Yeah, that's true. You want to dominate more up front against the Western Carolina, even if they are keying in on Raheem Sanders. You want your SEC caliber offensive line, especially your head coach being an offensive line coach, to be able to really establish that and to show strength there. And yeah, that wasn't the case. I'm with you there. I'll give them a solid B, just because that's clearly what Western Carolina focused on stopping on defense, and they did that. But yeah, it didn't stop KJ Jefferson in the pass game or the run game. I liked what I saw from KJ. I think my favorite throw of his of the night or the day was just a little drop down pass over the linebacker, just fitting it right in between the zone there. Good touch on the ball. I was like, that's a top tier throw there. Looks simple on TV, but that's not always an easy throw to make. And just to drop it in there between the secondary and linebacking core, that might have been my favorite throw of his of the day.
I know
Okay.
that laser of a touchdown pass that he had from about like the 25-yard line was pretty good. Just,
Yeah. Well, he had
just
some
on.
good ones. I mean,
Yeah.
KJ's a playmaker. He's gonna, if he's on that trajectory to break records, he's gonna continue to climb the record charts there at Arkansas as the season progresses. I just, knock on wood, he stays healthy.
Yeah.
If he continues on this trajectory, yeah, he's going to go down as a top 5 quarterback. If he's not considered that already, that's probably a little early, but he keeps this going. Yeah, he'll be a top 5 Razorback quarterback for sure, and I mean ever. Okay, so a lot of gripe on social media, and this has been the trend. Social media, outside of social media, Little Rock people, Central Arkansas people, Northwest Arkansas, Fayetteville people griping about the venue, playing any game in Little Rock whatsoever. It's sounded like I was not at the game, but apparently they ran out of water. Um, there was gripe about the attendance before the game and even after, and during and after. And looking at it on TV, I thought the attendance was fine. I have no gripe with that. It looked like it was 85% capacity,
There's
which
a small patch, near one of the end zones, and who knows, that could have been tickets allotted for West Carolina fans. So
could have been, or could also be that it was a 3 p.m. game that got bumped all the way to noon, and they were playing roast beef tech. But then again, I don't necessarily care who you're playing. If you get one game a year in Little Rock, I don't care if it's against Bigelow High School. I want to see a packed house for the Little Rock game. I want Little Rock to show out. I was fine with the attendance, though. I had no gripe with that,
yeah.
especially when the game is televised and you're an introvert like me at this point and you just want to watch the game from your couch, especially after a long work week. The last thing I wanted to do was get up early Saturday morning. But I had no gripe with the attendance. Apparently, they ran out of water, and that's not good on a 90-degree, day. But then again, I would say to some of the fans that really threw a fit about it, also maybe maybe pack some more water in your cooler as opposed to just Bud Light. If the only water in your cooler is ice, that's a little bit on you. But then again, when you're in the game, and there were gripes about the concession lines. There's concession lines everywhere. If they were excessively long, I guess I get it. But then again, I don't know. Uh, but I'm not gonna. I'm admittedly on the side of I want games to continue to be played in Little Rock. I'm
Yes.
fine with it being one game a year. When Donald Duck, like there were 2 games a year in Little Rock back when the facilities in Fayetteville didn't look like they do now. It was the I don't know what the stadium seating was, but it was probably in the 50,000s, if that. Now it's all these upgrades. It's a top notch stadium.
I think it's about
And
67.
okay, yeah. Now,
No, before.
okay, I'm surprised it was that high. I was gonna say now. Yeah, brain fart there, but significant. What is it now at Reynolds
It's like
Razorback Stadium?
77 or 78.
Yeah, I want to say I've been to a 78,000 capacity game before, and I don't know what War Memorials is, but they've upgraded the press box. That's really about the only thing they've upgraded. I would say I still want a game to. I'm fine with one game being played in Little Rock per season as opposed to 2, and I don't even care who it's against. I would prefer an afternoon game. Doesn't necessarily have to be a night game for me. But yeah, I'd prefer an afternoon game. Noon game's a little tough. But then again, if you're Little Rock, you don't need to be running out of water. You don't need to have excessively long concession stand lines. You need to, if you're going to get one game a year, you need to show out. You need to show out. You need to make yourself undeniable because there's always going to be that crowd from Northwest Arkansas griping about any games being played
Yep.
in Little Rock, and make it to where they can't talk. I mean, just do what you can. Just cover your end of it. Don't run out of water on a 90-degree day, and get more people to work. I don't know what the budgeting is. I'm sure that's easier said than done. But find a way to make it happen. Show out for the one game a year that you get to where they can't deny you that game every season. But I want to see games continue to be played in Little Rock. I wish it wasn't such a divisive issue. I don't understand why it is such a divisive issue. I don't know why it's so hard to understand that Fayetteville, Arkansas is in the far northwest corner of the state. There's a much bigger area of the state than Fayetteville, Arkansas. And yeah, you might only get 10 recruits a year coming out of Arkansas, but they're not all coming from Northwest Arkansas. They're going to be coming a lot of from Little Rock, a lot of from South Arkansas, east, west,
3-5 hour drive.
southwest.
Yeah.
And from Central Arkansas, yeah, it's a good 3-hour drive. It's going to be much further from south, southeast. Like I've said this many times on here. As a kid growing up, the only time I ever got to go see the Razorbacks play was when they played in Little Rock, and that's back when they did it 2 games a year. And that's going to be the case for a lot of Central Arkansas kids, other kids around the state. Not you want to appeal to you want to be the state's team.
Yes.
You don't want to be Northwest Arkansas's team. You don't want to, and you're never going to lose a recruit to Arkansas State or anything like that. One that you want.
Yeah.
But still, you want to be the state's. You want to be the state's team. You want to be the state school. And I don't really understand just the vehement gripe against one game a season in Little Rock. Can you explain it to me?
No, I cannot. I cannot explain to you. I don't know. People just like to gripe. They think they're losing out on money. They don't want to make the drive. I'm like, well, that's how the rest of the state feels. It's like, just because you don't want to make the drive, what makes you think they want to make the drive up here? So
yeah, it's one game. It's one game a season, and it's a game that you probably weren't going to go to anyway. You were going to watch it on TV or sit out in the parking lot tailgating. I did see a good point to the people griping about the attendance and griping about mainly the attendance. There's no excuse for running out of water and things like that. But I mean, things are going to go wrong. Like I said, though, you need that's on Little Rock. Like that, that is on Little Rock. You need to prepare better. But the people griping about the lack of attendance and stuff, like I said, I thought the attendance was fine. But I hope you have that. Those people, I hope you have that same energy this Saturday when you're going to maybe fill 2/3 of the stadium for the Kent State game. While a lot of you are sitting out in the parking lot drinking or watching it at home when you live nearby. So keep that same energy this Saturday. That's why they have lowered the ticket prices to what they have. By the way, I think I'm going to the game this Saturday. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Margie jumped on that low ticket prices, asked me to come. I'm still kind of debating it, but I think I'm going to make the trip. I would like to see KJ play. I would like to see Raheem Sanders play before they call it a career, and I'd like to see a game live during the Pittman era. So he has turned some things. He has turned things around, made the program respectable again. It's been a flawless run, of course not. But it was going to be a bumpy ride for sure. But I want to see those guys play live before it's all said and done. I feel like this is probably as good of an opportunity to do so as ever. So probably going to make the trip up there Saturday. Yeah. So looking forward to that. I'll be one of those in attendance. So most likely, not 100% on it, but most likely. But yeah, I don't understand the gripe. It's just I mean, we're dancing, we're walking around in circles at this point. But I wish Northwest Arkansas would see the value in one game a season at Little Rock. It's not that hard to make. Okay, so ups. I don't even know if it was a. Well, no, this was an upset. We'll talk about this one. Okay, Colorado beating TCU. How surprised were you by that?
Uh, I was surprised. I wasn't shocked, but I was fairly surprised. I mean, we knew TCU wasn't going to be what they were last year. Last year was kind of a fluke, but yeah, what were they returning, like three starters on offense? I mean,
Yeah,
so we knew that.
they lost a
Yeah,
lot of guys to the NFL. Yeah,
they have a new offensive coordinator who has struggle, scoring on opening drives, as we all know personally. Uh, but dude, the I was surprised at how good Shador. What is that? How you say his name? Shador Sanders.
that's as good.
Dude,
I believe so. Yeah.
he put every ball but like two right on the money. Like where they needed to be, they were right on the money. And then Travis Hunter playing both ways. Who does that? I mean, pretty sick. But
Well,
yeah, they looked good.
Deion Sanders did it, but not to that extent.
No.
He played a ton of snaps. I didn't see the game. I didn't see the game. I'm disappointed. I didn't. I
It was
just
a good
didn't.
game.
Yeah, I saw the score. It was the best game of the week from what it looked like. But yeah, hey, that's what I heard. That about Shador Sanders was just the touch he had, the poise he had, the accuracy. I
Yeah.
mean, people are talking about him being a first rounder now. Like he's not going to be
Not
just
the rest of
Dion's
the
kid
season.
anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
But
So
also shocker, right? Deion Sanders' kid is good at football.
yeah, it's shocker.
Yeah, super surprising there.
Yeah.
But that's as good of a way to start if you're Coach Prime and Colorado Buffs and Dion let everybody know it after the game. Loved it. He's going to get some criticism no matter what he does, but I have nothing negative to say about
No,
Coach Prime.
no.
I love everything he does. I love everything he's doing. I love his pre. I watch his pregame speeches, and it makes me want to suit up again.
Hmm.
Like
Did you
I've
see
had.
the
Go ahead.
I was going to say, did you see the pick that Hunter had at the goal line?
I
He
did
jumped that
not.
dude. Yeah. I think the announcer said 100 out of 100 times that pass would be completed for a touchdown. He just jumped it at the right time. And yeah, it was a bullet by Chad Morris's kid. But dude, he was right there and he snagged it. Great, great catch, great pick.
Is
But
that who's quarterbacking TCU?
oh
Chandler
yeah,
Morris. Okay.
tough, tough weekend for the Morris family again.
It was a tough weekend for the Morris family. We will get to Clemson in a bit, even though I don't want to talk about it. We'll get to in a bit.
Uh,
We will. Yeah. I Travis Hunter's special. I mean, he's a special player. I mean, the guy chose Jackson State over Alabama and all the top tier schools because he wanted to go play for Dion. And you knew he wasn't going to stay there because you knew Dion Sanders wasn't going to stay at Jackson State for 4 years. He's going to get a job eventually. Um, Colorado. See, I'd say Florida State made a mistake not pulling the trigger and hiring him, but I mean they're starting to look like Florida State of old with Mike Norvell.
really good.
They dominated the
Yeah.
second half against LSU. It was close early. It was back and forth early. You figured it could go either way. I kept kind of waiting for LSU to separate themselves, and then it just became the Florida State game. I mean, they just dominated, and that truck over the DB, on maybe the last score, Florida State score of the game was just kind of
Yeah.
summed up the night in the second half for me. But getting back to Travis Hunter, yeah, special player. Dion can recruit. I mean, to get that guy, that blue chip prospect to Jackson State, at a HBCU over, your blue bloods, your Alabamas, all that. That just shows what Dion can do recruiting. There's not a better recruiter out there than Dion Sanders. There's just not. There's nobody that's going to be able to hold a candle to him. I mean, Kirby Smart's doing a great job, but look how quickly Dion Sanders has turned. Colorado around. I don't know how many more games they're going to win this season, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a 2-10 team.
No.
It looks like they could very well compete for a spot in a bowl game, and they're just going to keep trajecting upward. And I got to watch Shedeur Sanders play, man. I've heard a lot of good things about the way he played, the touch, the accuracy, and he had been working with Tom Brady in the offseason. Got a little rub from the goat. So yeah, he's got great genetics, and he's in as good of a position as he can be in to be successful. So look forward to watching him more and more as the year progresses. Okay, Clemson. I watched pretty much the whole game. I was in Lone Oak for the first half, and got back for the third quarter. It was about midway through the third quarter, and Clemson pretty much just put on a clinic of how to lose a football game.
Yes.
Just full on put on a clinic of how you lose a football game. Turnovers in the red zone, and not just in the red zone, like inside the 5-yard line.
Yeah. They had more total yardage, more first downs. What else? I mean, they still lost.
I believe Dabo said after the game in the presser they were like 108-0 when they ran for 200 yards and passed for 200 yards.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the exact numbers, but I think that's what it was. Gosh, did they really have 400 yards of offense? That's kind of hard to believe. But I think that's the statistic. That they were 108-0 when doing that, except for, last night. And yeah, it was Cade Klubnik did not look like the answer. I said all year, you need to put this guy in the game over DJ Ugunlele. I think that's as good of a guess as we're
Close
going to
enough,
get.
yeah.
Yeah, I believe he's at Oregon State now, by the way. But yeah, I kept saying, get this guy in. He's better than DJ5 now, and he did not look like the answer. He looked like he did as a freshman last year. He didn't look like he's improved one bit. He's not patient. As soon as he doesn't get his first read, when that first read isn't open, he immediately looks to run or to scramble outside of the pocket. He's trying to play Johnny Manziel football or play high school ball, and you're at a big time college program. And he's not trusting the pocket. He's playing like a running quarterback, not a quarterback that can run. And terrible decisions, terrible accuracy throughout the night. Everybody, people were giving him a pass early, just overthrowing nerves, what have you, but it just kept continuing. He even overthrew the toss to the official. Like I had tweeted that. I was like, Cade Klubnik even is even overthrowing the toss back to the official. He did. He sailed it over the official's head, and yeah, and he didn't look impressive running really. There were a couple of good plays. He just didn't look like the answer last night. He didn't look like the number one dual threat quarterback coming out of high school. But it wasn't just him. It wasn't just him. There were a lot of drops.
Tons of drops.
Tons of drops, fumbles in the backfield from the running backs. It just, defense did what they could for as long as they could, and then just the gates blew open, and then you could just tell I don't want to say they quit, but they gave in. They lost their fight at that point, and that's what allowed Duke to separate themselves. I'm not as big on the Duke quarterback as a lot of people seem to be right now. A lot of people are really hyping him up. He looked all right, but yeah. I wasn't thoroughly impressed like a lot of people are today. But I mean, yeah, he looked all right.
His
But
best play of the game was due to Clemson not being able to tackle him in the backfield. So,
yeah, and this Clemson team looks like the Clemson team of the last couple of years. It looks like the exact same team. No offense, pretty good defense, but no offense, no quarterback that can move the ball. A lot of people were excited about the offensive coordinator change, and they looked like they had regressed. They looked like they regressed on offense last night. They looked terrible all around. Cade Klubnik looked awful. The receiving core looked awful. The run game wasn't there. DJ
place kicker
Shipley
looked
had
awful.
some. Say what?
Said the kicker looked awful.
It was bad all around. It was bad. I was watching that game and thinking, even with the Duke quarterback, that first couple of drives, I looked and I was like, KJ Jefferson is 3 times better than either of these guys, at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad we have him for the Arkansas Razorbacks. But yeah, it was not good if you're a Clemson fan. Doesn't look like it could be a long year. I mean, could they turn it around? Sure. I mean, you can reel
Yeah.
off some wins there in the ACC right now, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they go 10-2, 10-3. I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be a little surprised, but not that surprised. Like Clemson's had a down year last year and they went 10-3. So
Yeah.
they could turn it around, but that's not a good start. That's as bad of a start as you can have.
Yeah. Speaking of Carolina teams, you had a chance to watch the North Carolina South Carolina game.
I did not. Looked like North Carolina won it.
Yes. Yeah. I think Radler, he was running around for his life most of the game. He looked decent. And then, of course, I'm sure you heard about the whole debacle with the chain gang being late out from halftime.
I didn't.
Shane Beamer was all kind of
I
angry
didn't.
about it.
So I didn't. So give us an update.
Oh, it's apparently they first of all, South Carolina comes out and does an onside kick, to kick off the second half. They get it, don't do shit with it. But there was a delay after they got, I believe it was after they got the onside kick. The chain gang had not came back from their halftime break. Apparently they were enjoying some hot dogs, and they got out there a couple minutes late, which I think Beamer had a couple of things to say about that in his press conference. I didn't listen to it because I didn't care, but that's the story. So,
Yeah. I checked out. I think I looked at the score on the screen, and I just didn't care enough to watch North Carolina and South Carolina. I just
I,
don't care about
I
either
thought
team.
I thought it was hilarious. They get all pumped because they, execute a perfect onside kick and then go 3 and out. It's
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, South Carolina. They ended the season as well as any
yeah,
team did, pretty much. At least especially on how they started. Them and Arkansas, they kind of went in opposite directions. Arkansas looked strong early and then just tilted toward the end. Did get a win in the bowl game, so that put a smiley face on a lot of Razorback fans' faces to end the year. It ended things on a positive note for me, at least. And considering all the injuries, I was okay with 7-6 in a bowl win. But yeah, South Carolina really turned it around. You'd think maybe they'd carry some of that momentum into this season, but North Carolina's a good team. I mean, Mac Brown has turned that program back around, and they've got a really good quarterback prospect in Drake May too. So
I want to know what Mac said to Beamer after that game, after he grabbed him by his throat, turned him back around. Did you see that?
no, I didn't see any of this or hear anything about it.
They were
So I
exchanging,
apparently missed something.
pleasantries. They were exchanging pleasantries, at the end of the game, like all coaches do when to shake the hands. A couple of words were exchanged, and then Beamer kind of laughed and went to turn away, and then Matt Brown just grabbed him by his throat and turned him back around and started talking to him again. It's like, wonder what he said there.
like in
Yeah.
an aggressive way. I mean, because I don't know another way to grab
It
somebody's
looked a
throat.
little aggressive, especially, yeah. If you grab somebody's throat, it's not in a nice way, I wouldn't think, but
Right.
it's
Um.
yeah. I just
So
hope he says like, "You listen here, you little shit." But
maybe not. That doesn't sound like Mac Brown.
no.
But yeah, I would be curious to know what was said too. All right. So what is this about? Have you heard about Travis Kelsey? There's something on my
Oh
news
yeah,
feed
yeah.
saying ACL.
Hyperextended his knee in practice.
Yeah, it looked like his ACL is intact, is what they're saying. But
It better be. That's my keeper for my fantasy league. And of
speaking
course,
of, go ahead.
I don't have a backup tight end, so yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, hopefully he's good. I don't want to see him out. I mean, that's the league's best tight end, best one we've seen since Gronk. Um, he kind of he is that safety net for Patrick Mahomes, and it's more than a safety net. I mean, he's a viable receiver.
Scores
He's a
points.
reliable. I guess is the better way to put it. Um, but yeah, he definitely scores points. He was sixth though. He was sixth overall in the pre-draft rankings, by the way, in fantasy football. I had my fantasy draft Sunday morning, I believe it was. Yeah, Sunday or it was Sunday at noon, and I'm pretty much by default going to be a Bengals fan this year. It was supposed to be a noon draft, but I log in and we're already in round two, and I'm like, well, how did that happen? But I ended up with Jamar Chase, so I wasn't
Okay.
upset. I was like, okay, well that's fine. And he was number two on the draft board. Like the rankings, by the way, I'd asked this last week, but the rankings, by the way, fantasy
And
football 1 and 2, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Those two were on the same team in college. Like that's wild. And that was the best offense I've ever seen in college football. I remember making that statement, and somebody scoffed at me for that. Like, I don't know. I'm like, that's the best. Like, Joe Burrow threw 65 touchdowns. That's the best offense I've ever seen in college football. I believe it was Jamar Chase that had 2,000 yards, or they both had ridiculous numbers. But yeah,
yeah.
1 and 2 fantasy receivers played on the same team in college. But yeah, like I said, I'll be a Bengals fan by default because I have Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, and Jamar Chase. So
Dang.
yeah,
You draft with a bunch of low IQs or what?
a bunch of what?
Low IQs and dummies.
Oh, with
All three
them.
of those
Okay.
guys.
I thought you were saying I drafted some low IQs. I was
No.
like, oh, they're pretty good to me. But I don't know. I thought it was a pretty solid. Now I have Josh Jacobs and Joe Mixon, so I'm pretty stacked at running back, and I do have a tight end, Mark Andrews. So I do have a tight end. I could have gotten Mahomes there. I was like, I can either get Mahomes or I can get Mark Andrews. I can get a really like a solid tight end, and I know it.
Yeah.
Or I can get Patrick Mahomes. And I was like, there's other good quarterbacks. I've got to get a good tight
Yep.
end. Like if you don't have a good, it's really right now. It's Kelsey and Mark Andrews. Those are the only consistent tight ends in the league. And I do have a backup tight end, Cole Kmet. He's Chicago, right? Former
Yeah,
Notre
last I
Dame.
checked,
Yeah, former Notre Dame tight end. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with my team. Of course, I was last year too, and it ended up being an awful season. So we'll see how it goes. But I was pleased with that. In fact, let me pull up my team, and we got a little time. Let me know what you think about it. Oh, by the way, quick side note: Giancarlo Stanton hit career home run number 400 tonight. So, congrats on that. Didn't I guess he's been in the league that long? I didn't realize it. But okay, quarterback Joe Burrow, two running backs starting: Josh Jacobs, Joe Mixon, receiving core Jamar Chase, Terry McLaurin, tight end Mark Andrews, At my flex is Miles Sanders, Carolina running back. I got Dolphins defense. I got Legatron, Greg Zuerlein, Jets kicker, as my kicker. Bench players: Christian Kirk, Dalvin Cook, Cole Kmet, Traylon Burks, took him late.
Yeah.
Samaje Perine, Jarek McKinnon, and took a chance on Zeke Elliott late.
I thought about doing that.
Yeah, so what do you think of that team? Is it a contender or
I think you got a contender. You starting two running backs, two wide receivers tied in, and a flex.
yes?
Yeah, so that's pretty good. That 1 week, whenever Cincinnati's off, you're probably going to lose. But I don't know. Maybe because Kirk can step in to you some
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I'll have to figure something out that week. Of course, I don't want this to happen, but injuries always happen, so you could possibly make adjustments there as far as people to plug in during that week. But I'm not going to wish. I'm wishing that on myself just by saying it. So I don't want to do that. But yeah, Kent State Saturday. Going back to the Razorback game. Yeah, score prediction for Saturday. Game in Fayetteville, Arkansas and Kent State. Which, by the way, they got throttled by UCF. The Gus bus. Of course, we talked about that last week. So
Yeah.
score prediction. What do you got?
I don't know. We'll do. We'll go 48-17. Sounds similar to last week, but
Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 52-14 Arkansas. I liked what I saw from them Saturday in Little Rock. I'd like to see that continue this Saturday in Fayetteville. All right, we will touch up a little bit on the Florida State LSU game before we get out of here. Uh, yeah, LSU. I was surprised. I mean, I wasn't surprised LSU lost just because I knew Florida
yeah.
State was on the rise. But if you would have asked me to pick, I would have picked LSU to win the game. But I'm I'm not surprised they lost. I'm just surprised they lost in that fashion. They got dominated. I mean, you could tell, I guess Brian Kelly is focused on speed, speed, speed. Florida State is focused on speed and power. And man, it showed that game. They really separated themselves in the second half. Florida State looks like it's on the rise. Mike Norvell, like I said, UCA alum, the guy with the cornrows and his football photo. Have you seen that, by the way? His UCA
Have
picture?
not.
You got to Google that, or I'll send it to you when we get out of here. But yeah, Florida State bumped up to, I believe, to number 4 in the rankings. Uh, College football is better when Florida State's competitive. So, like I've said before, Florida State fan growing up in the '90s. So it's good to see them back, and a lot of those players are going to have some tomahawks in their helmets come or by the time this game rolls around Saturday. I don't know who they have, but yeah, I loved it just because I'm not an LSU fan and I was a Florida State fan, so I was admittedly rooting for them. But that was fun to see. But yeah, Florida State's. I'm not ready to say they're back yet, but man, they look pretty close. All right, well, we're out of time, but we'll be back next Tuesday. Talk more hog ball and pro football too.